DM Developing Musicianship Online.
Hello, and welcome to DM Online. Today we're going to have a look at Ableton Live Lite, and we are going to be specifically focused on the APC-40 Mark II and manipulating Ableton through that device. For those of you who are not familiar with the APC-40, my previous episode we just worked on recording some basics in Ableton and using that device as part of that. So today we're really exploring the in-depth ability of this machine. So let's get into it. So today we're using Ableton Live 11. I've just got it. There's a few differences between Ableton Live 11 and the other one, but mostly it's about more sound options, which is great for users. So in order to save time, what I've done is I've pre-established what my loops are, and you can watch on the time lapse the creation of those loops. I've gone into Musescore and I've created individual single bar grabs for each of my 4 instruments. I've exported them as MIDI, and now they're ready to drag over into Ableton. So this saves some of those problems with that live recording element and timing your loops, because your loops are pre-established already. We're going to need 4 MIDI tracks for that. And I'm going to have a bit of a play with the little catchphrase from the show's introduction. So I'm going to drop that in as an audio. Now, as soon as you drop in audio, you've got a button that's been assigned to the audio track. So if I click this now,
DM Developing Musicianship Online,
and then I can hit the stop button. Okay, immediately we have some control over here from the pan button, so I can swing this left and right.
DM Developing Musicianship Online.
If we go to the sends button, this controls the A send. It's the generic send for reverb in Ableton. So when I click the green button, with that cranked all the way,
DM Developing Musicianship Online.
Okay. Now, if I go to the user button means that I can establish my own personal effect on this channel. So for me, what I find good is to have the delay registered to this knob. To do that, you click the MIDI button in the right hand top corner of the screen and you get a blue screen. Now what I do is click where I want to control the knob. So I'm controlling the B knob and then just twist my knob that I want to control, and we're done. Now when we twist this, we've got delay.
DM Developing Musicianship Online.
Okay. Now every single button on here is customizable, but what you want to be a little bit careful about is that you allow for specific buttons to go to the instruments. So what you'll find is MIDI instruments generally have the first 4 knobs set already to something. The other 4 knobs are very much choose what you want to choose. Now if you change the setting on the other knobs, it's going to change everything. So for example, if I go to my little track and I say I want to be able to control loop and I want to be able to control transpose, so I go to MIDI and I click on the loop button and assign knob 5 to the loop. So now when I come in here, I can choose to have it looping.
DM Developing Musicianship Online. DM Developing Musicianship.
Or I can switch that loop off. Now you'll notice also that my loop here starts after the first beat. So really, in order to be a bit more instantaneous, adjust the first beat so that it lands right at the start of your loop.
DM Developing Musicianship. DM Developing Musicianship.
Okay. You'll notice still there's latency. It doesn't happen straight away. And that's where trying to trigger audio events in any specific time frame is a little problematic. Okay, so we've got the loop set up there. Transpose can be good fun when you're playing around with these sorts of sound grabs. So I'm going to the pitch button down here and assigned the knob number 6, to transpose. So now I'm going to hit go.
DM Musicianship online.
Okay, and I don't have a loop, so I could have let that go. Most things are customizable. Not everything, but most things. So let's get the MIDI in here now. Let's go with something a bit poppy. This is my drum track, and here is my drum loop. The bass, I will go for something. I'll go with an upright bass. Okay, so I drag in my bass MIDI file, and then I've got some keys, so I will opt for the electric piano whirly for my keys loop, and finally I have synth or strings, and I think at this point I've got individual control over each of my tracks. So drums. Now, drums can pose a few issues. When you click on it, you have to check and make sure the MIDI that the notator has established matches the mapping of the MIDI for the drum kit. So in this case, the bass drum that Musescore has placed is not the bass drum for the program that we've chosen. So that needs to be shifted, and you'll see that the snare drum is a snare drum, but maybe clap. By holding down the Option key, you can just duplicate that track to another instrument. The electric piano and the strings.
DM Developing Musicianship. DM Developing Musicianship. DM Developing Musicianship.
DM Developing Musicianship.
DM
Developing Musicianship.
Okay, that's sounding all right. Lots of opportunity to experiment once you set up your knobs to control stuff. And lastly, we have control over our actual MIDI instruments. So again, we've got the possibility here of running out of buttons. We have 8 possible controls, 4 of them are probably already assigned. So if I go to my bass, which I've just clicked on the actual instrument itself, it's brought up the bottom screen, and by twisting knob 1, I can see it's attack, knob 2 is decay, knob 3 is sustain, knob 4 is release, and they don't assign any other buttons. So whatever you want to control from the other side, you can control. So if I just go to bass by itself, so you'll see it softens the attack. It's basically doing compression. Now, if at any point you want volume control, then use your sliders down here for volume control. I tend to have the bass balanced a bit higher than the rest of the instruments. But obviously it's personal taste and whatever mix you're going for. And the last knob we could be messing with is the tempo knob. So once it's playing, this is the launching everything, but before I do launch everything, it's good to have mixability. So that vocal track is a little bit separate from everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the A-B button and I'm going to assign my first 4 instruments, as the MIDI instruments, to A, which means when this lever is over to the A, therefore all of the sound is going to the left side. And then this is assigned to B. So if I want vocals, I can switch, either go to the middle and get a mix, or I can go to the B and get just the vocals. So without anything record enabled, and let's the final thing is this tempo button, so we can progressively change the tempo as it's playing.
Developing musicianship online. DM.
Developing musicianship online.
Okay, that basically explains pretty much all the important knobs on your console. So at this point, you should be able to do some really interesting things with live sounds. Next show, I'm going to go through a project and I'll work up a whole series of layers, and I will work around the live aspects of this console. Okay, until then, see you next time. Bye-bye.
DM. Developing musicianship online.